Hi, create a story using these key words: beautiful, appreciate, helpful, graceful. Why not stop the video and decide your story? Here is my story.
Joyful. There was once a very beautiful girl called Joyful who lived in a village called Kibi in West Africa. She was the child of Mr. and Mrs. Sunshine, who were extremely fond of her. The village was ruled by a kind, gentle man, King Musa, for it was a place where people enjoyed living. They were always willing to help each other. The young girls in the hometown were jealous of Joyful. She was graceful, cheerful, and displayed perfect manners. Joyful was a good, helpful child. One day, as Joyful was on her way to draw water from the well, she met the company of 4 young girls, Nubia, Rashida, Sheena, and Jamila. Ordinarily, she would have belonged to their group if her parents did not forbid her. The girls told her that they were going to the festival in town in a few days' time and asked her to join them. Joyful wasn't able to join them. She had to help her parents look after their large farm. Therefore, she had no time to spare dancing and festivals. Joyful left the girls and went home. In the evening, the 4 girls met together. They discussed how mean it was of Joyful refusing to join their company. And they talked for a long time as to how they could get Joyful into trouble. One of the girls had a plan. They should all go to Joyful's house in the morning of the festival and help her with her work. In turn, she would be able to attend the festival with them. They all agreed that this was a good plan. Mr. and Mrs. Sunshine knew that the girls were jealous of their daughter and repeatedly warned her not to go with them as they could not be trusted. The festival was going to take place in the local town. Joyful wanted to go, but in the morning of the festival, her parents gave her plenty of work to do. Mr. and Mrs. Sunshine thought this would surely prevent her from going, as she was an obedient daughter and always ensured she did her work. On the day of the festival, the jealous 4 asked Joyful to go with them, but she pointed out that her parents had gone to visit her grandmother. So she had to ensure that all the animals were fed and given water to drink, clean the horse stables. Furthermore, she had to polish the kitchen floor. Joyful felt it was impossible for her to leave the house until all the work was finished. When the girls heard this, they fed the animals, fetched water from the spring well, filled the animals' water trays. The jealous 4 soon had the kitchen floor polished. When everything was completed, Nubia said to Joyful, "Now then, come along. You have no excuse to remain behind. The work is done." Joyful thanked her friends. "You have been so kind to me," said Joyful to the cunning 4. They all walked together, heading for the festival. Soon, they walked past a quiet river. Joyful wore a beautiful blue dress, yet although the jealous 4 wore their finest clothes and beads, most of the villagers admired Joyful far more than the other girls, and that she was declared to be the finest and most beautiful young lady at the festival. On their way back, as they walked towards the river, the girls decided to push Joyful into the river. Joyful could not swim. The river slowly carried her away. The girls did not help her. They just walked away. "Now Joyful is gone," declared one of the girls, "and we shall hear no more about her being better than us." The girls were pleased with themselves. "She will probably drift off into the next village," said Jamila. They all laughed. However, luckily, a fisherman was walking past the river and rescued Joyful. When Joyful's parents returned home that evening, they were surprised to see the house door locked and that there was no sign of their daughter. They searched everywhere but could not find Joyful. Friends and neighbors also helped in the search, but could not find her. Joyful's parents were troubled and cried. Joyful arrived home late that day with the fisherman. Her parents were so delighted to see their daughter. She narrated the story to her parents. Joyful's parents were grateful to the fisherman and could not thank him enough. "Thank you, sir, thank you. We were worried and wondered what could have happened to our poor daughter," Mrs. Sunshine said, still shedding tears of happiness. The announcement of Joyful's rescue was bad news for the 4 girls. After Joyful's father informed King Musa about what had happened to his daughter, the jealous 4 were forced to leave the village and made to work long hours for King Imari, a king who was unfriendly with a bad reputation in another village, far, far away from Kibi. The girls cried and cried. They wished they could return to their lovely, happy village. The moral of the story: do not be jealous of what others have. Appreciate and be thankful for what you have, for we are all beautiful and wonderfully made. Why did the girls pretend to be very helpful to Joyful before going to the festival? What lesson do you think the girls learned from this story? Can you name at least 5 things that you have and appreciate?